What if the engine that powered one of America's most famous race cars only existed because of a number written into a rulebook? In 1963, General Motors made a decision that should have ended Chevrolet's racing ambitions completely. They banned factory-backed racing across every single GM brand. No more company-funded race teams, no more official support. On paper, Chevrolet was done competing. But Chevrolet's engineers had other plans. They built an engine specifically designed to break a rule without technically breaking it. A small block V8 engineered down to the exact cubic inch limit allowed by a racing series, spinning faster than almost anything else on the road, and putting out far more horsepower than its official rating claimed. This engine turned an ordinary pony car into a genuine race car you could buy with license plates. This is the true story of the Chevy 302 V8, the engine GM never wanted to exist, and the rulebook loophole that created one of the most legendary engines in muscle car history. If real automotive history like this is what brings you here, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon right now, because this channel covers true stories exactly like this one every single week. To understand why the Chevy 302 exists at all, you need to understand the strange position General Motors found itself in during the early 1960s. By 1963, GM had grown nervous about the optics of factory-funded racing. There were growing concerns from insurance companies, safety advocates, and even some GM executives about the company's image being tied too closely to high-speed competition. In response, GM's corporate leadership issued a company-wide policy banning factory involvement in racing. This meant no official company funding, no factory-built race cars, and no public association between General Motors and motorsports competition. For a company like Chevrolet, which had built a passionate following around performance and speed, this was a serious blow. Chevrolet's engineers were not allowed to officially build or fund race cars. But the ban didn't stop engineers from working behind the scenes, finding ways to support performance development through unofficial channels, careful budget allocation, and creative engineering that never showed up as an obvious factory racing program. Around this same time, a new form of American motorsport was rapidly gaining popularity. The Sports Car Club of America, known as the SCCA, launched the Trans-American Sedan Championship in 1966, commonly called Trans Am Racing. This series quickly became one of the most exciting forms of competition in the country, featuring modified versions of ordinary American pony cars like the Mustang, Camaro, and Barracuda, racing wheel-to-wheel on road courses. Ford had already jumped into Trans Am racing with its 289 cubic inch V8 powering the Mustang, and Ford was winning. Chevrolet needed a way back into the competition, and they needed it fast. The problem was the SCCA's own rulebook. Trans Am's Premier Class had a strict engine displacement limit of 305 cubic inches. Anything bigger simply wasn't allowed to compete. Chevrolet's existing performance V8 engines, including the powerful 327 and 350 cubic inch small blocks, were too large to qualify. If Chevrolet wanted back into Trans Am racing, official company racing ban or not, somebody needed to build an engine that fit inside that 305 cubic inch limit, while still being powerful enough to compete with Ford. Chevrolet's engineers approached this problem from a direction that few other automakers would have considered. Rather than simply shrinking an existing big engine down to fit the displacement limit, they combined parts from two completely different engines to create something new. The engineers took a forged crankshaft originally designed for the smaller 283 cubic inch V8 and installed it into the block of the larger 327 cubic inch V8, specifically a small journal version of that block. This combination of a shorter stroke crankshaft inside a larger bore engine block created a very specific and very deliberate set of dimensions. The resulting engine displaced exactly 302.4 cubic inches, just barely sliding under the SCCA's 305 cubic inch limit. This wasn't an accident or a convenient coincidence. Chevrolet's engineers built this engine on purpose to exploit a very specific number in a rulebook, while creating something that performed nothing like a typical small displacement engine. The combination of a short-stroke crankshaft with a larger bore created an engine with a fundamentally different character than Chevrolet's other small blocks. The short-stroke design gave the engine extremely quick throttle response, similar to what you'd find in a Formula One engine, while the wide 4-inch bore allowed the engine to take in and exhale air far more efficiently than a typical small block of similar size. In simple terms, Chevrolet had built an engine that loved to spin fast. Where most American V8 engines of that era were designed for low-end torque and a comfortable cruising range, this new 302 cubic inch engine was built specifically to scream toward high RPM ranges that most production engines never approached. When Chevrolet officially released the new 302 cubic inch V8 for the 1967 model year, installed exclusively in a special new performance version of the Camaro called the Z/28, the factory horsepower rating listed on paper was 290 horsepower. That number alone made the engine competitive. But almost everyone who actually drove a Z/28 in period, and many automotive historians and engine builders since, have pointed to substantial evidence suggesting the real horsepower output was considerably higher than the factory rating suggested. Many estimates place the engine's actual output closer to 350 horsepower, a significant difference from the conservative 290 horsepower figure on the official specification sheet. This wasn't unusual for the era. During the 1960s muscle car wars, automakers frequently underrated their performance engines on paper, partly to keep insurance costs down for buyers, and partly to avoid drawing too much regulatory attention to just how powerful these street-legal engines had actually become. A car with an official rating of 290 horsepower attracted far less scrutiny than one openly advertised at 350. The engine's behavior matched the higher horsepower estimates far more convincingly than the modest factory number. The 302 was capable of spinning past 7,000 revolutions per minute, an extraordinary number for a production V8 engine in the late 1960s. Most muscle car engines of that era were designed to make their power at much lower engine speeds, often peaking well below 6,000 revolutions per minute. The Chevy 302 behaved completely differently, rewarding drivers who were willing to push the engine hard and keep it spinning at high RPM through every gear. The Camaro Z/28 wasn't built as a comfortable daily driver. It was built from the very beginning as a homologation special, meaning it existed specifically to allow Chevrolet to compete legally in SCCA Trans Am racing, while technically remaining a production car that any customer could purchase with license plates. Compared to the big block engines found in other muscle cars of the era, like the 427 or 454 cubic inch engines available in other Chevrolet models, the 302 demanded a completely different driving style from anyone behind the wheel. A big block muscle car rewarded drivers who simply floored the throttle and let raw torque do the work at low engine speeds. The 302 cubic inch Z/28 required something closer to finesse. Drivers needed to keep the engine spinning above 5,000 RPM and work through the gears constantly to access the engine's real performance potential. For skilled drivers who understood how to extract performance from a high-revving engine, this created something special. For those who knew how to handle it, driving the 302-powered Z/28 felt like magic, transforming what looked like an ordinary pony car into a genuine track-capable race car. On the Trans Am circuit, the strategy worked. Chevrolet's Z/28, powered by this purpose-built 302 cubic inch engine, became competitive almost immediately against Ford's Mustangs, validating the entire engineering approach that had started with engineers working around a corporate racing ban and a strict rulebook displacement limit. The Chevy 302 story represents something larger than just one engine or one racing series. It's a clear example of how strict rules and corporate restrictions sometimes produce more creative engineering than complete freedom would have. If GM had never banned factory racing, and if the SCCA had never imposed a 305 cubic inch displacement limit on Trans Am competition, Chevrolet's engineers likely would have simply used one of their existing larger small block engines, the 327 or the 350, without needing to invent anything new. The restrictions themselves are what forced engineers to combine parts in an unconventional way, creating an engine with a completely unique character that wouldn't have existed otherwise. This pattern repeated itself throughout automotive racing history during this era. Manufacturers regularly built engines specifically to satisfy displacement limits, weight restrictions, or other technical rules, often producing engines far more interesting and innovative than anything built without those constraints. The Chevy 302 proved that raw displacement isn't the only path to genuine performance, fundamentally changing how American performance cars could sound, feel, and behave when engineers were forced to think differently. The 302's influence extended well beyond its relatively short production run. Modern Chevrolet performance engines, including the LS and LT engine families, Used in cars like the Camaro Z and Corvette Z06, still follow a similar engineering philosophy that traces back to the original 302, prioritizing efficient high RPM performance over simply maximizing displacement. The Chevy 302 was only produced for a few short years, primarily from 1967 through 1969, exclusively for the Camaro Z/28. By the early 1970s, Trans Am rules in Chevrolet's own product lineup had shifted, and the engine was retired from production, but its reputation only grew stronger over time. Collectors and engine builders today understand the 302's story well, recognizing it as a genuine piece of mechanical mischief, an engine deliberately engineered to satisfy a number written in a rulebook while delivering far more capability than that number suggested. What makes the story worth remembering isn't just the clever engineering behind combining a 283 crankshaft with a 327 block. It's the broader lesson about how some of the most celebrated engines in American automotive history weren't born from unlimited budgets or complete creative freedom. They were born from restrictions, from corporate bans, and from rulebooks that engineers had to work within rather than ignore. GM's 1963 racing ban was meant to remove Chevrolet from organized motorsport entirely. Instead, it indirectly pushed Chevrolet's engineers toward one of the most distinctive and influential small-block V8 engines the company ever built. The 302 cubic inch engine inside the original Camaro Z/28 remains one of the clearest examples in automotive history of engineers turning a restriction into one of their greatest achievements. The next time you see a first-generation Camaro Z/28 at a classic car show, remember that the engine under that hood exists because of a rule someone tried to enforce, and a group of engineers who found a way to follow that rule to the letter while building something far more powerful than anyone expected.